Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Downtown Business Association meeting. And we have, as you know, three of our city commissioners, the three new city commissioners. So I went to each of their websites and picked out 5 key things about each of our commissioners. So let me share those with you. I'm going to start on my far right, your far left, with Commissioner Elaine Bryant. She has lived in Tallahassee for 40 years. She has a PhD in educational leadership, although it didn't say from what university, Elaine?
Florida A&M University.
Florida A&M, good. She is she's a businesswoman. She's the CEO of E.W. Bryant Associates. She's worked as a Leon County school psychologist, although that's what I'd like to have the most conversation with you about. She's worked with FDLE and been an assistant secretary of Department of Juvenile Justice. She was selected in 2008 as one of Tallahassee Democrats' 25 women to know. We have in the middle, probably appropriately, Commissioner Jeremy Matlow. His 5 superlatives, as I like to call him, is he was raised on the south side of Tallahassee. He is a businessman. He's co-founder of Gain Street Pies, which now has 4 locations and 90 employees, and I know that is an update from your website only because he spoke at NEVA yesterday, and he told us that. So thank you for doing that. So he's already been through some questioning yesterday. He was president of the Gain Street Community Association and helped lead the revitalization of Gain Street in the All Saints District, which I did not know. He was appointed by the mayor to sit on the Downtown Improvement Authority, and he's been appointed by the mayor to sit on the Municipal Code Enforcement Board. And our last commissioner, certainly not the least, is Commissioner Dianne Williams-Cox. She was born and raised in Quincy, which I didn't know. She is a businesswoman as well. She's the owner of DWC Management Consulting Services. She graduated with honors from Florida A&M University with a degree in data processing technology. And she also has an MBA from Nova Southeastern University. She's the founder of the Southside United Citizens Action Alliance that seeks solutions for issues on the south side of Tallahassee. And she is the recipient of the 2018 Capitals Outlook Community Activist of the Year Award. Commissioner Elaine Bryant, please go ahead.
Well, good morning. Good morning. I am just delighted to be here. I sit at the end of the commission row and never get to speak first. So look, I'm having a great opportunity this morning. A little bit about me, since I'm under a time frame and I love to talk. My career here in Tallahassee has given me opportunity to interact with many, many people, especially at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, where I was the first female director to serve in that role. And this is just an aside, but I remember, any of you know Tim Moore? Okay, Tim Moore is one of my mentors, okay? And we would come to the table and he would say to me, Elaine, do you have an opinion on this? And most times I did have an opinion. But he was one of the few people who would recognize during my time at FDLE that everybody could bring a valuable input to the table. Now that kind of was my pushing stone to move into leadership. And I've been in leadership for a long time, from FDLE all the way over to the Department of Juvenile Justice as an assistant secretary. But that leadership role, I think, undergirds really where I am today. Because when I was appointed to be a part of the commission, well, first of all, people always ask me, Elaine, did you expect to get selected? And I said, no, I didn't really anticipate, but I was ready in case they did. And for the blessing for me is that what I do is to serve this community. That's the only reason I do what I do. And many people question me about, well, why would you give up your time, your whatever, to serve this community? We have an awesome Tallahassee. And I'll give a shout out to Dianne because she will always have on her Tallahassee shirt. Didn't have it on this morning. And I said to myself, I'm getting one of those shirts and I'm going to wear it everywhere I go. And when I go out of town, especially, I put on my shirt. You know why? because I want people to know where I come from and how proud I am of who we are as a community. So here I am on the commission, and my focus, I'm sure most people, if you've been watching me, is on planning, strategic planning, before we start too much action. Because otherwise we will act and find out we get to a place that we didn't plan to go. It might even be a good place, you know? But we need to actually write it down. We need to have some goals, and we need to hold somebody accountable. Because when we can do that, we position ourselves to move forward.
All right, Commissioner Matlow.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Commissioner Matlow. I've been on the City Commission for about 10 months. I was blessed to have a child a couple months before the election, so that helps me keep track of how long I've been there. His birthday will be this weekend, but so everybody asks me about day one on the City Commission. Day one, what are you going to get in there and do? So day one, you show up, they give you a badge, they give you an office, and they say good luck. You sit in your chair and you start thinking, how do I be a commissioner? What do I want to do? And we came in, I think, in somewhat of a change election. So there wasn't a set schedule, a set way of doing things. We actually wanted to change the way we did things. We wanted to change the culture. So we came in very early at one of our first meetings and laid out some policy points, things that were important to us, things that we campaigned on, and that accessibility being one of the biggest ones. That's why I think it's rare to see three of us in a meeting just like this with you here today. Commissioner Williams-Cox led the charge saying we need to take City Hall to the public. So we don't just have City Commission meetings at City Hall. We've done them at Smith-Williams Center. We've done them at Gilchrist. We've had several town halls on important issues. And what we found is when you actually go to the people on an issue that's important to them, they do show up.
Yeah.
So we found hundreds of people come up and express their opinion. And it takes a long time to hear 100 people express their opinion. The other thing we did was ensure that we're going to let everybody speak. So there's no cutoff. If you come to a city commission meeting, you're going to get your 3 minutes. If we have to be there till 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, if you're still there, we're still there, and we're going to listen to you. So as we push this culture of accessibility, I think there's been some growing pains. We had to lighten up security at City Hall and kind of move away from the old way of doing things. But I think people are really responding. People are telling us, I feel like you guys are engaged and listening, and I didn't think people were listening to me in the past. And I'm going to be clear, we're not always going to agree. We're not always going to vote exactly. Just because you show up, we're not going to vote for what you're saying, but we are going to listen and we're going to give it due consideration. Nothing's pre-cooked on this commission. We got thrown a bombshell when Commissioner Maddox got indicted in a later guilty plea, and that's painful, and we're going to get through it. But right now you have 5 very honest, high integrity individuals willing to serve you, and we hope to see you at commission meetings going forward.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It is indeed a pleasure to be here with you this morning, and I do remember when we were on the campaign trail and we came before you, so I'm back this morning to say thank you for your support. And it has been 10 months. I want to keep up with it as Jeremy does. We come to the commission, as he said, with no preconceived notions other than to serve the people.
Yeah.
Our job, you sent a very loud message. I heard you. And what I am trying to do with my colleagues on the city commission is try to, like Commissioner Matlow said, bring the barriers down so that you have access to your government. This is your government. You hired us. You can also fire us. I'm working real hard to not get fired because I know that we have a lot of work to do, and sometimes you can't get it done in a hurry. So my goals on the commission is to hear and to look to strategic planning to make sure that we have it together, and to look to my colleague. He sits on the dais. She sits to the right, and he sits to the left. So I'm sitting between them on the dais, and so I listen to what they have to say because they're talking to people sometimes that I don't get a chance to talk to. So I want to hear what is being said so that we can make the best decision. You may have heard me sometimes refer to Solomon. Solomon had great wisdom, but sometimes the decision came to who's going to split the baby. And sometimes that's how our decisions are. No one wants to split the baby. We all want to do the right thing for the majority of the people, because we can't do it for one person. We've got to do what's good for everybody. And one of the things that I find a little frustrating, I must say, is that we've come to the commission with projects that have been on the books for a long time. And what we're now at the point where they've ripened and they're ready for action. But guess what? The people who were engaged back then are different from the people now. So we're having to wade through those waters and try to figure out how can we best serve the current needs. And we're hoping that we can do some things to speed the process up a little bit, because people forget until it's time, and then we're having to re-educate, and that causes a little friction sometimes. But many times I want you to understand our hearts are in the right place. We want to do the best for our community. I live here, I've worked for 30 years. I live on the south side. I worked for 30 years throughout this town to try to make sure that life was good for everybody. And you'll hear me talk about poverty a lot, because I'm tired of talking about it. It's time to roll up our sleeves and do something about it. So we really need to come together, business community, everybody in the community, and let's make Tallahassee even stronger and make Tallahassee even prouder. And Commissioner Bryant is right. When I'm out of town, even when I'm in town, I usually wear my Tallahassee Proud shirt. I have about 2 or 3, give or take. And so just last week, I was in Washington, D.C. at a resiliency summit to come and understand what we could do here in Tallahassee. And I was that my warning?
2 seconds.
Okay, and I was wearing my Tallahassee Proud shirt in the Reagan National Airport, and someone stopped me and said, "I like your shirt." And I said, "Great, because this is a great place, Tallahassee. Tallahassee proud, Tallahassee strong. I'm your commissioner. Thank you."
This is a good question. Now that you've been on the city commission for a while, what do you like most about your job, and what do you like the least?
I like most, that one's easy to say. I like most serving other people, literally. And I'll give you an example. I had a lady approach me just in the grocery store, because I did learn you get approached everywhere. But in the grocery store, and she said to me, "Are you Commissioner Bryant?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." She said, "At XYZ, and I won't call out names, but one of our facilities, I go to the pool, and every time I walk down that step, it wobbles. I'm so afraid I'm going to fall." I said, "Ma'am, what is your name?" And before I could get out of the store, I was calling somebody. And guess what? By Monday afternoon, that step was fixed.
Yes.
Which is a tribute, really, to the people who work for the city of Tallahassee, who are often forgotten when things don't quite happen as quickly as you might want. I was on the push to get this done like now, and they did it. I called that lady up. I said, "Ma'am, the next time you go, you let me know if that step wobbled." Of course, I didn't hear back from her, so the step obviously didn't wobble. So it's that kind of service at that level, all the way up to the service that many of you may bring as issues, and there have been many, really, that have been brought to the commission, that some of them we've resolved, some of them we haven't, but we're working on it. Everything doesn't come in the moment. Many things you have to plan, orchestrate, you have to put things in place in order to get to an end result. But you can't get there if you have no plan. That's what I love. Is that the question? Now you asked me what I didn't like.
The least.
Well, I'll tell you, this is the least part. When I agreed to serve, they told me that this was a part-time position. Go figure. It is not a part-time position. It is a full-time position. And even though I have 3 jobs, I think the city of Tallahassee and what I do here probably demands, and I accept more of my time, really, than I do in other facets of my career. Why do I do it? Because I love the people of Tallahassee.
Great. All right, so what do I like most about Tallahassee, or this job so far, right? Okay. Tallahassee's always been you know my home, and I've always had a deep passion for staying here, started my business here, and really care about it. So to have the ability to really shape where we're going in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and be able to reach out to our neighbors across the spectrum and see what they think. Because what you learn as a commissioner is when you talk to somebody, they'll tell you, well, this is what everybody thinks. Everybody thinks what they think is what everybody thinks, right? Just this week I've been able to do an event at the Orange Avenue Apartments, NEBA, and I'm here today. So I hear from so many different people that I'm actually, in my head, I'm building consensus. What is really the consensus of this community? And to have people to be able to bring their issues to where they think they didn't know who to bring them to before. They didn't know who they should email. And that's what we end up being the gophers for a lot of people. Like, I have this issue, or like, you need to talk to this person or this person or this person. So a lot of our job is just routing people to the proper resources. But being able to deliver upon that and really guide our city into where we need to be is what I like most about it. What I like least about it, you're kind of on point with how many hours you spend on it. But also, we have to let people down. We have to look people in the face and say, sorry, I can't agree with you. I can't vote that way. I don't think what you think is what everybody thinks. And that's hard, but it's necessary for us to do, but it's probably one of the more challenging parts of the job.
Okay, what I like most about what I do with the City Commission is the interaction that I have with people. There's direct impact. For those of you who followed me, you know that I ran for office 4 times. And so I finally found the office that I was supposed to be in just before I started to not want to do it. And I ran for the State House, and looking back, I'm thinking, what were you thinking? Because to go to work in the State House, it was going to be an uphill push to get anything back down on the streets of Tallahassee. But here, as a commissioner of the City of Tallahassee, we can make phone calls. We can do things that will make things happen and make people's lives better. One of the things that's on the agenda tonight is about traffic calming in communities, and not just, I know Kalaran is where we just talked about it, but we've had this issue in other places. And so here's an opportunity where we can help deliver some traffic calming to some neighborhoods, because previously there was an ordinance that is out of date. So we'll have an opportunity to update it. So I really like being able to make our city work for everybody and move it forward. What I like least about it is that sometimes we do have to say no. And when you say no, sometimes you get personal attacks. And we knew it was gonna happen, but it doesn't mean that I like it, but it happens. You just have to roll with it. And I just ask for those of you in this room to just please understand sometimes we just can't do it all. We can only do what we can do. And so let's find another way to accomplish the tasks that we have, or things that we need. Again, thank you all so very much for having us out here this early morning. We appreciate it. We appreciate your attendance. We appreciate your attention. If you have any need to meet with me one-on-one, I'm open to that. I did what Commissioner Bryant is about to do. I left my job to do this full-time, because it is a full-time job if you do it right. You can do some other things, but to do it right and being a new commissioner, I wanted to not miss a beat, and I wanted to be available. Dr. Davis, would you please stand? This is my aide. She's also my best friend. You need to have somebody who's your best friend. If you want to meet with me, contact Dr. Tawanda Diablo Davis, and she will get you on my calendar. We can meet at City Hall. We can meet down the street. We can meet where we're not meeting in the alley. But we can meet. we can meet wherever you want to meet, because I have left a good paying job to do this work, because it is so important to me, and I want to make sure that we do our level best to make sure we meet your needs. Thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
First off, just thanks for coming out here and really being a voice of downtown. I know there's a lot of issues that specifically affect downtown. We hear a lot about parking. We hear a lot about alleys. And those are things that we want to help you to address. We want to help be your partner. So the most that you guys can unify and come with a collective voice of, this is our vision for downtown. This is how you can support us. We're here to listen. On top of that, there's a lot of huge issues coming up over the next few months. I think in March we'll be discussing how we spend $130 million in economic vitality money. That's going to make a difference all over the city, and we need to make sure, to me, I think we need to make sure we're spending it locally, really supporting locally owned businesses. We have an opportunity to create loan programs for our minority and small and women-owned businesses. We have the opportunity to address some permitting issues and have a liaison within that office who can take you step by step, and that person seeing it time and time again, they can also start to identify this is where the holdup is, this is where the holdup is. So there's a lot of opportunity there. We're going to be discussing marijuana in a couple months. I think there should be no arrests if you have 20 grams or less. I think the time has come that we stop locking people up for misdemeanor possession. We're going to be adopting our strategic plan for the future. It's been worked on hard all year, so we'd love to get your input on anything and everything from scooters to strategic plan. Come see us. My office is open 11:30 to 2:30 every Tuesday. You don't need an appointment. Just drop in and see me and let me know what's on your mind.
All right, let me add how grateful I am, and all of us are really, to be here with you this morning and to respond to questions. We all have, including you, a vision for where the city ought to go. I think that the city commission, with many issues right now, and I shouldn't call them issues, they're really opportunities to move the city ahead, to move us forward. Even though they may appear to be an issue in the moment. It's an opportunity to move forward. So I'm hopeful that you will come to commission meetings. I forgot when he asked me what was one of the things that probably is the most surprising is that when I looked out in the audience, I don't know which commission meeting it was, and there was standing room only. And people came to share their opinion. And guess what? I was anxious to listen. Because that's what we have to do. And everybody's voice should be heard. So I'm looking forward to moving forward. Our whole planning process, that's near and dear to my heart. That we should have a plan and we should execute it and we should celebrate our accomplishments. And I think that we'll start to do a better job of that, not just celebrate at the commission, but celebrate in the community. Because when people bring issues and they get resolved, the best thing for me is when they come back and say, thank you. You guys actually did something. Yes, we did. Just for you. Just for you. And that's our goal. That's our goal. So thank you very much.
So let's give a thank you to our three